The first time we cooked for each other, the smoke alarm chimed like a tiny, anxious critic. Chili oil kissed the air, basil argued with garlic, and the pan demanded attention like a toddler. If you clicked on this for blending cuisines in relationships, you already know the kitchen can be a love story and a translation exercise at the same time. I brought noodles the way my mother makes them when a week has been heavy. You brought rice that said celebration, even on a Tuesday. We stood shoulder to shoulder by the open window, letting crisp winter air cool the room and our nerves. The first bite was imperfect and unforgettable, which is how most beginnings taste. We talk about moments like this at Whispered Hearts. English because food has a way of turning strangers into teammates. Recipes carry history in their sleeves. Knives and spoons become accents we learn to understand. When a dish lands, it's not just dinner. It's a small, edible, I see you. But there's something even quieter simmering beneath the recipe card. Food is the way our families said, "I'm proud," without a speech. It's the rhythm of markets, the shape of holidays, and the permission to rest after dishes are stacked. When you share a stove, you share a story. What story does your favorite comfort food tell about you? Therapists report that couples who make rituals around dinner fight less about nothing. Research shows that predictable connection reduces stress. You don't need perfect knife skills to make a memory. You need a plan that fits a real Tuesday. Have you noticed how a simple cooking night steadies the week faster than a dozen text messages? We learn to cook like dancers, not judges. One leads the prep while the other handles heat. Then we switch. We call out moves like we're on a mellow basketball court. Salt in. Taste check. Save that onion fond. Collaboration beats commentary every time. But there's something even more delicious waiting after you've mapped each other's comfort foods. Curiosity can turn a shared meal into a shared invention. What if the best parts of both kitchens could meet in one pan and feel like they belonged there? What would happen if we treated the cutting board like a border crossing with no customs line? We started small and playful. You made tacos and I made chicken marinated in lemongrass with a squeeze of lime. We tucked it into warm tortillas, added quick pickled carrots, and a drizzle of chili honey. The first bite was a meeting of neighborhoods. Have you tried building a familiar dish and letting one new ingredient knock politely at the door? Another night we cooked pasta with a spoon of gochujang, stirred into butter and tomato, then finished it with scallions and a snowfall of parmesan. It tasted like a city where the gelato shop is next to the karaoke bar. On the side, we tossed cucumbers with sesame and red wine vinegar. Balance arrived wearing a grin. Spring rain tapped our kitchen window like a metronome. We leaned into fresh herbs and light hands. You blended mint and cilantro into pesto with toasted peanuts and lime. I swirled it through warm grains and roasted shrimp. We added a soft-boiled egg because every good song deserves a bridge. Which herb could carry your childhood into your partner's bowl? Summer asked for fire. We grilled corn, brushed with miso butter, and a whisper of maple. We shaved it into rice with scallions, then scattered cilantro and crispy shallots on top. The porch smelled like street fairs and campfire stories. What would your grill say if it spoke 2 languages at once? Autumn brought markets that smelled like apples and earth. We slid turmeric roasted carrots onto a platter and dressed them with yogurt, lemon, and a handful of toasted seeds. On another plate, we layered roasted mushrooms with soy and rosemary and called it forest noodles, even though there were no noodles. Leaves scraped the curb like friendly gossip while we ate by the window. But there's a moment every cooking couple meets when partnership boils over. I seasoned without asking. You rearranged the pan like it owed you money. The sound of the spatula hitting the counter was louder than it needed to be. We stared at each other and realized we needed a kitchen truce. Our repair was simple and saved us. Safety first. Same team. Empathy next. I felt bossed around. I felt unseen. Action last. One calls the play per dish. Tap in to switch captains. We bumped fists like we meant it. Then we salted the water and tried again. Have you noticed how a tiny script lowers the flame on big feelings? Before we cook now, we ask 3 things. Who's captain? What's the vibe? Where's the towel? The vibe matters more than the technique. Tuesday nights do not need Michelin stars. They need mercy. We also built a Mise for Mortals habit. Bowls for chopped things. Trash bowl for peels. A shared playlist to keep hands moving when brains get tired. A timer so joy doesn't burn while we take a photo. Organization isn't fancy. It's love in stacks. But there's something even sweeter than the plate that hits the table. Storytelling turns ingredients into relatives. You told me how your grandfather eats mango over the sink, so the juice can fall without rules. I told you how my aunt keeps a jar of pickled chilies by the stove like a good luck charm. We tasted, nodded, and let our families pull up chairs. We collected fusion sparks the way kids collect shells. Kimchi grilled cheese with scallions on sourdough, dipped in tomato soup brightened with ginger. Shakshuka kissed by salsa verde with avocado on the side. Jollof fried rice burritos that made us laugh and ask for seconds. Our kitchen became a passport we stamped with heat and patience. A retention question for you while the onions sweat. What's one dish from your home that could wear a small accessory from your partner's pantry without losing itself? Imagine it now. What would change if you tried it this weekend? But there's a quieter reason cooking together works. The brain likes predictable closeness. A weekly ritual says, we keep showing up. It also breaks the week into chapters. Grocery list, market, chopping, simmering, tasting, laughing at the mess. When you own the rhythm, stress has fewer places to hide. We built traditions that respect seasons. In winter, we made brothy noodles with ginger and greens, slurped at the counter with socks on tile and the heater clicking. In spring, we grew basil on the sill and tore it into everything. In summer, we sliced watermelon and sprinkled it with lime and a pinch of salt the way your cousin taught us. In fall, we roasted squash and drizzled it with tahini and date syrup, then called my mum to brag. Research shows that couples bond faster when all 5 senses join the party. Therapists report that shared tasks lower anxiety when the rules are kind. We cooked with our noses first, then our ears, then our tongues. The sizzle told us more truth than any measurement. Have you noticed how sound helps you trust a dish before it's ready? There was the night your work ran late, and I tried your family's stew alone. It came out flat and shy. You walked in, set down your bag, and tasted with the smallest spoon. It needs patience and a squeeze of lemon, you said, like you were talking about life. We ate on the couch, grateful and a little wiser. We invite play the way good hosts invite friends. Dumpling nights where the shapes looked like tiny clouds trying their best. Pizza nights where we spread labneh under slow-cooked tomatoes and scattered za'atar like confetti. Breakfast for dinner with scallion pancakes and crispy bacon, dipped in maple soy that shouldn't work but absolutely does. Joy stays longer when it's fed. But there's something even quieter holding love together when the kitchen is loud. We gave each other permission to fail publicly and try privately. Some experiments stayed nameless on purpose. Others earned a title and a place in the notebook we keep by the stove. The notebook has smudges and hearts. That feels right. We learned to plate with care without turning our kitchen into a runway. A squeeze of citrus wakes tired colors. A handful of herbs turns Tuesday into Sunday afternoon. A drizzle means, I love you, more often than words do. We eat first with our eyes, and second with our relief that dinner didn't fight us. Midway through the year, we created a market date we rarely skip. Saturday mornings at the farmer's market with coffee that tastes like optimism. We ask vendors about their favorites, then bring home ideas we didn't expect. The tote bag smells like peaches and cilantro. The car becomes a tiny greenhouse of hope. Whispered hearts. English is the porch light for nights when the sauce splits and tempers try to follow. We don't chase perfection here, we chase belonging. If cooking together has felt more like a test than a dance this month, you are not alone. There's a seat for you at this table. We plan menus like maps, not contracts. One anchor dish we know by heart. One playful dish with a low-stakes twist. One store-bought dessert because life is busy and pride is expensive. Planning makes space for improvisation without panic. Which part of that map could make your next dinner feel lighter? When relatives visit, we treat the stove like a stage for respect, not performance. Your aunt chops vegetables the way her hands remember. My father stirs with the patience of someone who likes stories more than clocks. We ask them to teach us a small move we can repeat. Elders love watching their moves travel. But there's an honest bump you might hit. Dietary rules, kitchen taboos, sacred foods. We approach those with yes-first hearts and detailed questions. Teach me why. Show me how to honor it even when I cook alone. If a recipe won't bend, we make a respectful parallel dish. Love doesn't need one plate to prove its point. We solved the cleanup problem with a simple agreement. The captain of the dish does not touch the dishes afterward. The cheerleader cleans while the captain sits with tea. We set a timer so no one disappears into suds. A clean sink is a love letter to your future self. Here's a quick retention hook for your next date night. What would a 15-minute dinner look like if you had to blend 2 spice cabinets fast? Eggs, leftover rice, a handful of vegetables, and 1 bold flavor from each side. Describe it out loud. Does it make you hungry or brave? We practice gratitude even when the sauce tastes like almost. Thank you for chopping through your tired. Thank you for sharing your grandmother's trick. Thank you for letting me fail safely. Gratitude is seasoning you cannot buy. It makes leftovers taste like celebration. Our freezer became a time capsule of good intentions and rescue missions. Dumplings for sudden joy, stock for tired nights, cookie dough for neighbors who need a knock on the door and a warm distraction. Feeding others keeps your kitchen honest. It tells your house what kind of home it is. We also learned to make a few base sauces that swing between worlds. Chili crisp brown butter that goes on corn, noodles, or a fried egg. Cilantro lime yogurt that cools a spicy stew or kisses grilled chicken. Peanut ginger sauce that turns a salad into dinner and a sandwich into a memory. Once a base is friendly, the rest is conversation. Another repair story, because life keeps being life. I burned the rice. You sighed, then saw my face collapse. You put a lid on the pot and on your frustration. Toast and eggs? You asked. Toast and eggs, I said. We ate at the counter in quiet solidarity. The next night, you taught me a rinse and rest trick. That lesson tasted better than perfect rice. Our holidays began to cook themselves once we set the tone. 1 flagship dish from your family, 1 from mine, 1 new us dish that changes every year. The table became a map no one needed to fight over. We passed plates, stories, and napkins with names written in 2 languages. We used the seasons to schedule learning. In spring, we practiced knife skills with a mountain of herbs and a bowl of lemons. In summer, we grilled everything and learned when smoke means flavor versus danger. In autumn, we learned to braise and to wait. In winter, we wrote recipes in the margin of our days and felt the house exhale. Have you noticed how grocery stores carry homesickness and hope in the same aisle? We keep one shelf for imports that smell like childhood. We keep another for experiments that smell like tomorrow. On a long day, just opening the jar of your favorite sauce can feel like someone is hugging your lungs. We also built a tiny photography ritual to honor our wins. 1 photo before we eat, not 10. No staging, no pressure. A quick caption in a shared album. Tuesday triumph, almost soup. Grandma cameo. Looking back becomes a gratitude practice disguised as scrolling. Friends joined the party when we felt steady. Potlucks where every dish carried a passport and a nickname. We left the menu open and the door too. Kids ate noodles with chopsticks in one hand and forks in the other. Someone brought a pie that tasted like their second language, trying its best. That's the taste of community. When a friend asked how we make cooking feel romantic instead of chore-like, we told the truth. We make it short when we're tired. We make it funny when we can. We make it quiet when the world is loud. Romance rarely needs fireworks. It needs an apron and a song you both know half the words to. We close the kitchen the way kind people leave a living room. Timer off, flame checked, floor wiped with 2 passing swipes that say, tomorrow matters. We leave a note on the counter sometimes. Save me a corner of the brownie. You did great. Same team. What's the most surprising fusion dish you've tried? Tell us in the comments so someone else can steal your brilliance for Thursday night. Your idea might become a tradition in a home you'll never visit. And that's a beautiful kind of influence. We're grateful you cooked with us today. Whispered Hearts. English is here to remind you that recipes are just suggestions until a family arrives. We believe joy belongs on weeknights and that love is better when it's fed. If this gave you one idea you can taste by Friday, share it with someone who needs an easy win. Tonight, thaw something friendly or chop something brave. Turn on a song that makes your shoulders drop. Taste as you go. Smile when you hit the note you were reaching for. The kitchen loves effort more than expertise. Tomorrow, try a swap that makes sense to your tongue. Lime where you used to use vinegar. Sesame where you used to use olive oil. Chili where you used to use pepper. Let your ingredients shake hands and learn each other's names. You're building fluency 1 bite at a time. And when the week closes and you sit at a table that smells like 2 families, breathe in the proof. You're not forcing fusion. You're writing a love story in small, repeatable steps. That's the quiet, joyful work of blending cuisines in relationships, and you're already cooking it beautifully.